What happens when a self-made CEO walks into one of his own car washes and sees two of his employees mocking a customer to their face? Jared Barnes stood by the tinted window of his corner office, jaw tight, coffee cold in his hand. He'd built his 9-location car wash business from scratch, first with a bucket and sponge, then a single bay in a rented lot, then brick by brick into a chain across 3 cities. But lately, something felt off. He'd been getting vague reports, some customer complaints, a few employees quitting suddenly, and one online review that stuck with him. It said simply, "They laughed at me." No manager could give him a straight answer. Probably just a misunderstanding, they said. Jared didn't want guesses. He wanted the truth, so he shaved his beard, swapped his suit for a faded hoodie, and pulled a baseball cap low over his forehead. He wore wraparound sunglasses, the kind mechanics wear. No one at Store 6 on the edge of a busy strip mall in Westfield had ever met him. It had opened during the pandemic, when Jared was focused on expansion. The hiring had been done by a district manager who was long gone. He walked in quietly that Monday morning, pretending to look nervous. "Hey, you lost or something?" A lanky guy behind the counter squinted at him. "I'm the new trainee," Jared said. "District sent me, said you're short-staffed." The guy rolled his eyes. "Of course they did. I'm Cody. That's Trent." He gestured over his shoulder to a shorter guy mopping half-heartedly. "We'll show you the ropes. Try to keep up." Jared nodded. He didn't expect a red carpet, but even so, their tone had an edge that put him on alert. They handed him gloves and a rag. No orientation, no safety rundown, just a shrug and a "get to it." By noon, Jared had washed 6 cars, dried 4, and answered the kiosk for 2 confused customers. Cody mostly leaned on the counter, scrolling on his phone. Trent kept wandering off to the back, always with a joke about smoke breaks. Jared kept his head down, but his ears open. "So this lady came in yesterday," Trent said at one point, chuckling. "Car smelled like old fries and cat pee. We were like, you sure you didn't just bring your house with you?" Cody laughed so hard he wheezed. Jared didn't laugh. He scrubbed harder at a dusty windshield. Around 1:30, a woman pulled up in a silver sedan. It was older, with a cracked bumper and mismatched hubcaps. She stepped out slowly, mid-50s, blue windbreaker zipped to the chin, hair tucked under a knit hat. She looked nervous. "Basic wash, please," she said quietly. Jared was nearest the kiosk, but Cody pushed past him. "Sure thing," Cody said, already smirking. "You want the deluxe, or is this baby allergic to soap?" Trent snorted from behind. The woman blinked. "Just the basic." "You got it," Cody said, drawing out the words with fake politeness, then turned and muttered just loud enough, "Guess she spent all her money on duct tape." Jared froze. The woman heard it. She flinched. Her hands trembled as she handed over a $5 bill. "Hey," Jared said, stepping forward, voice low. "That's not okay." Cody shot him a sharp look. "What's your problem?" I said. "That's not okay," Jared repeated. "You don't talk to customers like that." "She doesn't even know what a clean car looks like," Trent muttered. The woman turned, clearly embarrassed now, and looked like she was about to leave. Jared stepped in. "Ma'am, I'll take care of this for you, free of charge." She hesitated. "You don't have to, I want to," Jared said. "Please, give me 5 minutes." She nodded slowly. Jared washed the car himself, fast but careful. He checked every detail, even wiped the mirrors. When he handed her the keys, she smiled faintly. "Thank you. You're the only one who looked me in the eye." She drove off. Jared turned back. His hands were trembling, but not from the cold. Cody just shook his head. "What's your deal, man? You trying to be employee of the month or something?" Jared didn't answer. He walked to the back room, leaned against the wall, and exhaled. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a culture problem, and it had been allowed to fester. He pulled out his phone, opened the employee roster, and looked at the name next to the store manager title. "Kelly Raines," he muttered. He hadn't seen her all day. He was done watching. Tomorrow, he'd come back not as a trainee, as the owner. Tuesday morning came with a low ceiling of gray clouds and a steady drizzle tapping on the windshield of Jared's pickup as he parked across the street from Store 6. He didn't get out right away. He watched. Cody stood by the entrance, one hand in his hoodie pocket, the other holding a paper cup. He wasn't talking to anyone. A red sedan pulled into the vacuum bay. Nobody moved to greet it. After a full minute, the driver backed out and left. Jared stepped out of his truck and walked across the lot, this time without the hoodie and ball cap. A navy peacoat over a dress shirt and dark jeans, clean, sharp, unmistakable. He passed through the sliding door, nodding once at Cody, who didn't recognize him. "Can I help you with something?" Cody asked, eyes scanning him without curiosity. "You're going to want to get your manager," Jared said. Now Cody's face changed, not quite nervous but alert. "She's not in yet." "What time is she scheduled?" 11. Jared looked at the wall clock. It was 10:15. "Fine," he said. "You, Trent, and whoever else is working meet me in the office. Now." Cody hesitated, then shouted toward the back. "Trent." Front. Jared walked past him, through the hallway with the flickering light, and pushed open the door marked manager. The office was cluttered. A half-eaten bag of chips sat on a filing cabinet, and the desk was covered in printouts, empty coffee cups, and a speaker playing low-volume music. He turned it off. Cody and Trent shuffled in a moment later. "Sit," Jared said. They stayed standing. "Fine." He stepped forward. "My name is Jared Barnes. I own this company." Cody looked like he'd swallowed his tongue. Trent blinked hard. "I came in yesterday undercover because I've been getting complaints about this location, customer service, employee turnover, and more than one report of disrespect bordering on harassment." Neither man spoke. "I saw it for myself. I watched both of you make a woman feel small for the condition of her car. You made her feel ashamed for coming here, then you laughed about it." Trent looked down. Cody crossed his arms. "Anything to say?" Trent shifted his weight. "We were joking." "She didn't say anything." "She flinched," Jared said. "And you saw it. You kept going." Cody finally spoke. "Look, we didn't mean anything by it. It's not like we cursed at her." "Let me be clear," Jared said. "This isn't about language, it's about how you treat people. You're representing my company. If you think it's acceptable to make fun of someone paying for service, you don't belong here." Neither of them responded. "You're both done, as of right now." "What?" Cody's voice rose. "You're firing us just like that?" "Yes," Jared said. "Exactly like that." Trent looked at Cody in disbelief. "Man, we didn't even get a warning." "You've had enough time to know better," Jared said. "And from what I saw yesterday, this wasn't new behavior." Cody's jaw tightened. "You're gonna regret this. You'll be lucky if this place runs with 2 people gone." Jared stepped aside and opened the door. "We'll manage." They left without another word. Jared turned back to the empty office, pulled out the chair, and sat. For the next 30 minutes, he reviewed the schedule, the last 3 weeks of shift logs, payroll, and daily revenue reports. Something didn't add up. There were days where 2 employees were clocked in, but 3 cars were marked as fully serviced at once. At 10:55, the door creaked open. A woman in her early 40s walked in, rain clinging to her jacket. She carried a tablet under her arm. Her hair was tied back loosely, and she looked tired, not just physically, but underneath it like someone who hadn't had a full breath in weeks. "You're the owner?" she asked. "Kelly Rains?" She nodded once. "Close the door." She did. "You were scheduled at 8. "I was on the phone with payroll this morning," she said. "We've had clock discrepancies in the system. Cody kept editing shifts without submitting proper change forms. I was trying to sort it before it snowballed." "Why didn't you come in yesterday?" "I was here before open, then had to leave. My daughter had a medical appointment. I wasn't planning to be gone all day." Jared studied her face. There was no defensiveness, just exhaustion. "What's going on here, Kelly?" She leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You want the short version. I want the honest one. Cody and Trent ran this store however they wanted. I tried checking them, they pushed back. Cody knew how to manipulate the schedule. I'd fix it, then he'd undo it. Complaints came in, but they'd talk circles around them. I sent reports. Nobody followed up." "Who did you send them to?" "District manager. Renee, she left last month." Jared nodded. "I know." Kelly shook her head. "I'm not defending them. I hated what they brought into this place. But I had no support. They turned every part-timer against each other. We lost 3 people in 2 weeks. One of them cried after Cody called her slow in front of customers. Why didn't you fire them? I tried. I submitted the paperwork. HR said we needed more documented infractions. Cody knew how to stay just below the line until your visit, I guess. They're both gone now. Kelly didn't react right away. Then she let out a breath like she'd been holding it for months. Good. I need to ask you something, Jared said. Do you want to keep running this store? Her eyes flicked to him. Yes, but not like this. Then tell me what you need. We need 2 new hires, a proper training program, and a working vacuum in Bay 2. It's been broken for 3 weeks. I put in the ticket twice. Jared made a note. Done. What else? Someone needs to talk to the rest of the crew. They're burned out. They've been covering double shifts. One of them, Lewis, stays late every night to clean up the mess Cody leaves behind. Is he here? Should be on shift now. He usually handles the detailing bay. Jared stood. Let's meet him. They walked out together. Outside, the drizzle had stopped. A teenager with a quiet posture was drying a black pickup, careful and methodical, headphones around his neck but not on. His shirt was tucked in and his hands moved with practiced rhythm. Lewis, Kelly called. He looked up. This is Mr. Barnes. Lewis's eyebrows lifted. The owner? Yeah, Jared said. And I hear you've been keeping this place running. Lewis shrugged. I just try to make sure the cars go out clean. You've been doing more than that, Kelly said. I've seen you fix the vacuums, restock supplies, even cover the front desk. Lewis looked down. I just didn't want customers walking in and seeing nobody there. Jared nodded slowly. How old are you? 17, senior in high school, you working full-time, just evenings and weekends. I'm saving for trade school. You ever get trained properly? Lewis shook his head. Cody said I'd figure it out. Jared turned to Kelly. He's getting a raise, effective immediately, and when we bring in the new hires, I want him to help train them if he's willing. Lewis blinked. Me, you've got standards, Jared said. That's what we need. Lewis gave a small nod. Okay. As they walked back toward the office, Jared stopped near the unused kiosk and looked around. The lot was quiet now, but it felt different, less stale, like something had been cleared out. He turned to Kelly. We're going to rebuild this store, not just fill holes. We're going to make it work the way it was meant to, she nodded. Then I'm with you. Jared looked at the sign over the entrance, bright colors, bold letters, his name tucked in the corner. It was time the place lived up to it. By Wednesday, word had spread across all 9 locations. Nobody expected Jared Barnes to show up in person, let alone fire 2 employees on the spot. The morning crew at Store 6 was quieter than usual. Even the usual banter by the vending machine had faded. Everyone was watching, waiting to see what would happen next. Jared arrived just after sunrise. He didn't go straight to the office. Instead, he walked the lot. The detailing bay smelled faintly of citrus cleaner. The vacuums hummed, though Bay 2 still sat idle, flagged with a caution cone. Lewis was already working methodical, headphones around his neck as usual. This time, he noticed Jared right away and gave a small nod. Jared returned it without a word. Inside, Kelly was at the desk reviewing shift logs. A clipboard rested beside her with the day's schedule, marked with gaps. We've got coverage for today, but barely, she said. I've got 2 part-timers coming in late afternoon, mornings thin. Any leads on new hires? I've got 3 interviews lined up. None of them have car wash experience, but they're clean records and open schedules. Jared glanced at the clipboard. Let's prioritize attitude over skill. We can train someone willing to learn. That's what I figured, she said. But I'll be honest, we're close to burnout. This crew's running on fumes. I'm not here to patch holes, he said. We need a structure that holds. Starting today, I want systems in place for training, accountability, and feedback. No more figure-it-out shifts, he tapped the desk. You'll get full support. But we're resetting the standard. A knock interrupted them. Lewis stood at the door, hesitant. Sorry, front kiosk's locked up again. It's not reading cards. Kelly stood. That's the 2nd time this week. I'll look at it, Jared said. You've got interviews, focus on that. Lewis hesitated. I can try to fix it. Jared shook his head. You've already got 2 cars waiting. Stay with what you're doing. Lewis nodded once and left. Jared stepped out front. The card reader screen flickered, then went dark again. He crouched beside it, removed the back panel, and found a loose cable frayed at the connector. Someone had tried to tape it down instead of replacing it. He stood up and called in a work order. This gets replaced today, no patch jobs. By 11, the first interview arrived. A woman in her early 20s, nervous but punctual. Kelly handled it while Jared moved to the back lot, checking supplies. Shelves were sparse, detailing cloths nearly gone, tire shine running low. A handwritten note on the wall read, "Order placed, no response." He took a photo of it. Back at the office, Kelly was finishing the second interview. The candidate, a soft-spoken man in his 30s, had previously worked in landscaping. Jared stepped in as he was leaving. "He any good?" Jared asked once the door closed. "Hard worker. Said he's used to long hours and doesn't mind cold mornings. Asked good questions. Hire him." She looked up. "That fast? We can't afford to wait. We'll train him properly, give him a schedule that makes sense." The third interview never showed. Kelly didn't seem surprised. After lunch, Jared walked the lot again. A new customer, a father with 2 kids in the backseat, was trying to navigate the kiosk. The older boy leaned out the window, asking questions. Jared stepped in. "Need help?" "Yeah, this thing's not taking my card," the man said, readers down. "I'll run the wash for you manually, on the house." "You don't have to, I want to," Jared said. "We're working out some kinks." He walked inside, keyed in the wash manually, and let the family through. As the car pulled into the tunnel, he turned to see one of the part-timers, a college student named Nia, struggling with the mop bucket. It was overfilled, sloshing water onto her shoes. "Let me help with that," Jared said. She looked startled. "Oh, thanks, I didn't see you. Don't worry." "I'm blending in less today," she smiled faintly. "You just start here?" he asked as he helped her stabilize the bucket. 2 weeks ago. "I was hoping to get trained, but Cody never really did anything except tell me to watch and copy." "You'll get proper training now." She nodded, then hesitated. "Is it true you fired them?" He didn't answer directly. "We're changing how things work here. You'll see it soon." She pushed the bucket toward the back, more confident now. By mid-afternoon, 2 more cars came back within minutes of each other. One had soap residue on the passenger side. Another had streaks on the windshield. Jared asked who had done the final rinse. Both Nia and Lewis looked at each other. "Neither of us," Nia said. "I think Devin handled that bay. He clocked in late." Jared found Devin at the back, leaning against a stack of folded towels, phone in hand. He looked up slowly. "Hey, you Devin?" "Yeah." "What's up? You rinse out those last 2 cars." "Probably. Why?" One had soap on the door, the other had streaks across the glass. Devin shrugged. "Sometimes the wax doesn't dry right." "That's not what I'm asking." Devin looked away. "It's not like they complained." "They didn't have to," Jared said. "We hold ourselves to a higher standard." Devin straightened. "Look, I'm just doing what I was told. I don't come here to get micromanaged." Jared crossed his arms. "What time did you clock in?" 9. "You were scheduled for 8. Devin rolled his eyes. "Traffic. You didn't call." "I figured I'd still get here close enough." "Clock out." Devin blinked. "What? You're done for the day." "Tomorrow we'll talk about whether you stay on at all." "You're seriously benching me for that?" "I'm holding everyone to the same standard. You want to be here, you show up, you do the work, and you own the results." Devin scoffed and walked off. Kelly met Jared near the front door a few minutes later. "He's going to complain." "So let him," Jared said. They all had a choice. Do the work right or don't do it at all. She didn't argue. By closing time, the energy in the store had shifted. The crews were quieter but more focused. Lewis stayed late again, but this time, Jared stayed with him. They restocked supplies from the fresh delivery, checked every bay, and tested the new kiosk cable, which had been replaced by the technician just before sunset. At the end of the night, Jared turned to him. "You ever think about running a team someday?" Lewis looked surprised. "Me, you've got the habits. You care about details. That's half of leadership." "I never thought about it." "Start thinking about it." Lewis nodded slowly, then turned back to wipe down the drying station one last time. Jared walked to his truck, the sky dark now, headlights reflecting off the wet pavement. He didn't feel triumphant, just grounded. There was still more to fix. But for the first time in weeks, it felt like the foundation was being rebuilt, not just patched over. Tomorrow, the rest of the system would hear more than just rumors. Tomorrow, he'd show up where they least expected. Thursday morning came with a biting wind and a pale, colorless sky. Jared arrived at the Regional Training Center, an underused facility tucked behind the warehouse district, before the lights were on. He unlocked the front himself, flicked on the fluorescents, and started rearranging chairs. A whiteboard stood at the front of the room, still marked from a training that had clearly happened months ago. He wiped it clean. At 8 sharp, Kelly walked in with a thermos in one hand and a clipboard in the other. "You sure about this?" she asked. We can't fix culture at just one store. If this chain's going to survive long-term, we need consistency top to bottom. She nodded once, set the clipboard down, and started organizing handouts. One by one, they arrived representatives from each of the remaining stores. Not managers, not supervisors, floor employees. People who actually touched cars and talked to customers. Jared had picked them himself, based on store performance reports and direct feedback from Kelly. Lewis entered last, pulling the door closed behind him and nodding quietly at Jared. There were 12 total. No suits, no titles. Just people who showed up and did the work. Jared stood at the front. No formality, no projector. I asked you here because you're the ones holding this place together. And I'm not going to insult you with another mission statement or a video about customer satisfaction. He looked around the room, pausing between each face. I went undercover at one of our stores this week. What I saw was unacceptable. Not just because of two bad employees, but because the systems that let them operate that way were broken. I take responsibility for that, and I'm here to fix it. No one spoke. They were listening. Here's what's changing, he continued. We're building a new training framework, led by people who have earned respect, not just titles. You're the first wave. We're calling it Team 1. A young woman near the window leaned forward. Her name tag read Yasmin Store 4. What exactly does Team 1 do? You'll help rewrite the standard, Jared said. Starting with training. Every new employee will go through a program built by you, hands-on, real-world, no fluff. You'll also identify what's not working at your own locations so we can fix it. And are we getting extra hours for this? Asked a man near the back, arms crossed. Because I already work 6 days. You'll be paid for every hour, Jared said. And you'll be off your regular duties when you're doing this work. No double loading, Kelly stepped in. We're also giving each of you a direct line to me. No more going through 3 layers to report a problem. Lewis raised his hand, then lowered it, unsure. Go ahead, Jared said. What happens if one of us calls something out and the store manager pushes back? Then I'll deal with the manager, Jared said, no hesitation. The room stayed quiet for a moment, then Yasmin nodded once and said, all right. When do we start? Today, Jared said. We're going to spend the next few hours building a checklist, not from a manual, from your real experience. Everything a new hire needs to know in their first week, no shortcuts. Then we'll test it next week at Store 6 with 3 new hires. A few heads turned toward Lewis. He didn't flinch. By noon, the whiteboard was filled sections on safety, customer interaction, wash quality, shift handoff, and inventory tracking. Jared didn't speak much after the first hour. He let them lead. He took notes. When they broke for lunch, Kelly pulled Jared aside by the vending machines. Renee called. She heard about what happened at Store 6. What'd she say? She's worried you're going to start this across the whole chain. I am. She said some managers won't like it. Then they can leave. Kelly studied him. You're really not backing off this. I've been too far removed for too long. That changes now. After the break, they reviewed the checklist and finalized the trial schedule. Jared assigned 2 people from Team 1 to each new hire at Store 6. No manager involvement. Just peers one-on-one for 3 full shadow shifts. By 3 o'clock, the training room emptied. Jared stayed behind with Lewis. You all right with being the lead at Store 6? Lewis nodded slowly. Yeah, I just didn't think I'd ever be in that kind of position. You earned it. Not because of the hours you work, but because of how you carry yourself. Lewis shifted his weight. If I'm honest, I was thinking about quitting last month. Things were getting bad. I know, Jared said. I'm sorry it got to that point. I stayed because of Kelly. She treated me like I mattered, even when no one else did. She's staying on, and she'll have full authority to remove anyone who undermines the new standards. Lewis looked down, then back at Jared. Okay, I'm in. The next day, Jared visited Store 4 unannounced, then Store 2, then 8. He didn't fire anyone. He didn't need to. His presence was enough to draw a line in the sand. And every time he walked through the lot, he asked the same 2 questions. What's not working? And what do you need? Within a week, the Team 1 pilot was underway. The 3 new hires at Store 6 moved through their shadow shifts with Lewis and Yasmin guiding them. Not just how to clean a car, but how to speak to a customer when something went wrong. how to cover a shift without cutting corners, how to hold each other accountable without creating tension. One afternoon, during a walkthrough at Store 6, Jared stood by the exit bay as a customer pulled up. A middle-aged man in a wheelchair was trying to wave someone over. Lewis saw him first. He jogged over, crouched beside the car, and helped him retrieve something that had fallen between the seat and the door frame. The man smiled, said thank you, and drove off. Jared turned to Kelly. "That kind of moment, how do we teach that?" "We don't," she said. "We hire the right people and give them a reason to care," he nodded. The following week, 2 more stores requested to join the Team 1 pilot. Jared approved both. He shifted part of the budget to cover training hours. Some questioned the cost. He didn't flinch. In a leadership meeting the next Monday, one of the regional managers pushed back. "We're spending a lot on this. You're asking us to slow down operations at 4 locations." "No," Jared said. "I'm asking you to raise the floor. If you can't support that, I'll find someone who will." The room went silent. He turned to Kelly. "You're stepping into a new role, Director of Store Operations, full authority to implement the Team 1 program chain-wide." She blinked. "You're serious? I should have made this move 6 months ago. You've earned it." And that finally was the shift, not because of a speech, not because of a policy change, but because the people who actually did the work, the ones who stayed late, who picked up the slack, who respected customers whether they had a luxury SUV or a dented bumper, had been given the authority to lead. By the end of the quarter, customer satisfaction was up 20% chain-wide. Employee turnover dropped by half. And for the first time in over a year, Jared didn't need to go undercover to know what was happening in his stores. Because now, someone like Lewis was on every crew, and they didn't need to be watched. They just needed to be trusted.